Good morning. So, one thing that's been on my mind this morning is kind of the difference between mental health therapy that I every day have with my clients, with couples, and the health of culture. Now, it's pretty easy for me to come alongside someone, listen to the words that they're saying, see what reactivity they have, what their stress is coming from, and pretty quickly be able to assess, see, and parse apart the pieces within them that are still needing healing. So, what that can look like is parts of our childhood are showing up. We are being reactive in a situation versus responsive. We have a higher or lower emotional response than a situation needs. We're carrying stress within us. What level of awareness do we have of our own emotions in a moment? How we talk about other people, how we talk about situations, all of these things can be revealers of what's underneath. The one thing that I do want to think a little bit more about is stress that we're keeping in our society and what it looks like to actually bring healing to our society. Oftentimes, like when I think about healing for the individual, maybe for the couple or for the family system, oftentimes I'm looking at things of like, what is bringing connection versus disconnection? And that can be on the individual level. So from yourself, what is bringing connection or disconnection to the other or to the system at large? And it's not to say that any level of disconnection is unhealthy. Some of those things can be chosen, but it can be chosen in a healthy way. And when I look at society at large, I do see a lot of shame responses. I do see a lot of power grabbing, which usually has to do with fear. But it's harder to address when it's out of the individual's control. It's even out of community control in a lot of ways, unless the culture that you're trying to influence really is your immediate community that you have more influence in. But when we're talking about a whole country, there's no individual community or person that is able to change the culture structure very quickly, especially if you're not in a position of power. So what does it look like to see the symptoms, even as a mental health therapist, that are going on in our culture and society? And what does it look like to respond? And this is something I'm still thinking through, because it's uncertain to me where exactly the country is going. On one level, whenever there is new boundaries set up against somebody who has not received them before, it's so common that they will get angry and push back. And when there is a diminishing of, perceived threat to any level of power, there is a pushback. And it's like that will always happen on its way to there being a new normal found. So I don't know in this time whether we're pushing through that hump and really we just need to continue to press into it to then see our this country come together, or if we are shifting into a place where there's been enough threat that we're going into what almost feels like this place of war, similar feelings of pre-World War II, definitely a lot of similar vernacular being spoken, similar acts to colonization in the United States, at least. And when I look at media from both sides, I see that there are some legitimate anger on both sides, and each side from their own perspective. And perception is what you see from yourself. Perspective is in somebody else's shoes. So it's in each side's perception, there is a lot of grounded truth. There's intelligent people on both sides. But when I think of this through a mental health lens. Like a lot of the things that I'm thinking about is like, are things moving towards medicine or poison? You know, a lot of people in the health realm talk about this where like medicine in a different quantity is a poison. And even conflict can move towards medicine or poison. Conflict's a natural thing to occur within relationship. But I don't know where this one is going, and it feels more like it's going towards poison when people start to blockade each other, when people start to make it us versus them, when people start to not listen to the other side's perspective, we start to move into a place where things become poison really quick. In a family system, in a relationship, we can see this in stonewalling. That's when we shell ourselves out and we don't let any emotions through. It's a protection mechanism. We can see it in angry outbursts. Oftentimes, that is when somebody's not being heard. The only thing that they have left in their arsenal is to get bigger, to get louder. And then the other side wants to get bigger and louder as well in response. But oftentimes, it's kind of this like inner child that wasn't necessarily given what it needed to growing up, because we are a combination of all of our lived experiences through our lives. That's just a fact. It's been like researched and looked at, and it also just kind of logically makes sense. Like who we are today is a combination of all the ages that we've lived up until now, and sometimes certain ages get stuck for different reasons. Maybe you wanted love from your parents, they were always working, they didn't pay attention to you, and you didn't think that you were valuable. And then you grew a protector that said, like, I don't need anyone. I'm solo, I'm by myself. Just as an example. So oftentimes on this bigger level, political level, whatnot, it is kind of the younger parts of ourselves talking to the younger parts of the other party, the other person. And oftentimes behind the voices, behind the yelling, behind the scary words is a wounded person saying, like, see me. Like, this is going to cause harm. I'm scared. I'm sad. And I don't really see too much of a shift in the direction of there being a, like, let me listen to you. Let me hear your fear. Let me hear your sorrow. I saw some, during pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement of people trying to do this to varying levels of success. But it does take a lot of self-regulation to be able to do it, because there is a lot of self-soothing when somebody else is angry and expressing things to us in order for us to not take it personally and also like move through all the things that brings up in us. Oftentimes there'll be heightened heart rate, just feeling you're being told that you're wrong, you're evil, you're bad. And sometimes it's confusing to know what you're responsible for and what you're not. So I would encourage you, like, if you do feel stuck, whether it be on, at a systems level, so that would be like you're scared of what's going on, like for government, like school, city level, community, or if it's like, in your family between you and your partner, or just you yourself, you see that you're not able to stop being reactive in the way that you would like, or there's stuff that just feels stuck, blocked, and you're kept in these cycles you don't like, to reach out and get some help, because honestly, you deserve it. I love to see my clients feel empowered to be able to know what they want to do with themselves and like re-find the magic that's inside of them, because we all do have giftings from our own perspective and ways that we've lived in the world that really only you can give to the world. And we need those as a society for people to be living in the medicine that they can bring. I appreciate you listening. If anything spoke to you, reach out, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Take care.